Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we're going to be talking about the subject if LeBron James fans are ageist cyberbullies. But first, let's introduce the panel. First, we got Nick, NMB Sports. How are you today?
Game two's tonight. I need everybody's good thoughts and vibes to go the Mavericks way.
We've got Robin from Sports and Fitness Rants. How are you today, sir?
How you know I'm doing, everybody out there, everybody in the chat. What's up, everybody? Shout out to my man, Michael Jordan fans are the best, my man, NNB Sports. Of course, my man, AOH is in the building representing as always. Like I said, man, let's do it, guys. Let's roll.
Absolutely. And we have AOH, and I had complimented his hair today, looking very sharp. How are you today, sir?
Thank you. I appreciate when you notice that. I worked harder on it. Happy Sunday, gentlemen. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So, Nick, I know you've been the recipient of some hate online from LeBron James fans. Do you think that LeBron James fans are ageist?
I'm gonna give the politically correct answer as always, as I do. I think the ageist confrontation is a generational thing. Like it happens every generation complains about the one before it or after it. So I am not going to thrust that entire debate and put it on LeBron James fans. I think everyone kind of does that. Now, what I will say is I think their ageist complaints are a cope. I will say that. I think they use that as a way to get around at Jordan, right? The whole, if we want to use the "We Are Done with the 90s" campaign, I think that's just a roundabout to get at Jordan, in my opinion, right? I think if we could take some psychology and break people down a little bit and get to the root of it, I think that's where a lot of it comes from, right? We're better, we're next. The guys of the past aren't as good. Our king is better than the GOAT, right? So I will say that about the ageist topic, right? But in terms of in general, no, I think it's almost like a rite of passage, right? The generation before you's gotta get you toughened up a little bit and bring you up, right? And the new kids always complain about the oldies don't know what's going on and the old heads are too slow and stuff like that. So that's my take. That's my 2 cents.
Robin, what do you have to say?
Yeah, well, you're thinking about this topic. We can go different ways with this. I like what Nick said right there. Once again, being PC as always, my man. Nick tiptoeing the line. This is what he does. But once again, he's running the money of the things that he's mentioning, talking about generalities, the generation before you, and being like, the grumpy old man, who wants to listen to the grumpy old man, we just want to go out there and do our thing. Like you said, the generation, the younger generations coming up, but I think Nick is what he's talking about as it relates to the LeBron James fans, and this is kind of like what we've been talking about in general. They're using LeBron James in his era to tear down the past eras. And the things that we highlight as the old people, the old heads, so to speak, is what we're highlighting is that when you have to tear down the eras before you to make your era look great, why do you have to do these things? Once again, you should be able to stand on your own merit, stand on your own greatness. So we often say that they're not fans of basketball, they're not fans of the NBA, they're only fans of LeBron James. So they'll once again make all the excuses for LeBron James. They'll tear down the past eras with the lies and the narratives that we're always talking about, man. These are the things that we're always going back to when they call us the old heads. Once again, we're trying to educate on these channels, educate the past about the past. So I think Nick is right when he's talking about the LeBron James fans and how, once again, they're trying to tear down and they make all these narratives and lies to tear down. So yeah, absolutely. I think you guys are right when we talk about that.
And I don't mean to jump in and interrupt, but just to clarify too, because one thing they'll say is that like we don't do that, but they'll say things like people today can shoot better or people today are more skilled, right? The other side of that coin is saying that guys like Steve Kerr were plumbers, right? That's the other side of saying, well, our generation can do these things better. In their mind, they think that they're kind of just hyping up their era and they're not trying to be disrespectful. But the other side of what their argument is and what they say is, in a way, kind of disregarding the people who came before him in a way by saying our generation is so much better. Again, it's different. It's a different style. The rules are a little more lax, have changed, evolved, right? So just to, because I know I can hear them now saying we don't do that. Well, some of the things you say, the other side of the coin of what you say is that, well, I guess guys in the 90s didn't shoot as good, or they weren't as good as athletes, or they couldn't dribble as well, right? Which we don't really, we put more context into it.
Wait, what do you got to say about all this?
One of the points, I had 3 main points today. One of them Robin touched on, and that's the crapping on the past. And see, I don't remember during the Jordan era or even Larry and Bird, the media trying to make a case that you're watching the best person by shitting on other people. It's just so unclassy. Even if the generation before wasn't good, just the fact that you have to resort to that sort of a tactic says what you have in front of you is false. And it says a lot about society, which I'll go to Nick now. Now, I kind of agree. Every generation blames the one before or thinks things are getting worse, but, and they are. I mean, things are going to hell in a handbag. The thing is that it's happening at a faster rate now. There's more things that are coming along with it. I mean, you look how long it took for an 8-track to get to a CD. Now look how quickly things have gone from a CD to technology that I don't know where the fuck the music's coming from, but
yeah, MP3s and cloud and all that shit. Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is everybody lives in a virtual world where they can pretend.
That's a classic line, man.
Whatever the fuck they're coming from.
I've got this vinyl around just to pay tribute to some of the bands that I love, and I'm like, God damn, I can't imagine actually getting up and setting a record on and putting a needle on that thing and all that work. The speed of the technology is what I'm getting at, because people are more and more living within their own bubbles, and they don't have to go out into the world. They don't have to watch the actual games. They don't have to play the game and realize how difficult it would be to play by actual rules instead of these amended rules that they play with now. We're talking about people who use AI generated images to create shit that never happened, like 2 players going against each other, and they will literally post it as an argument for why LeBron James is better. I'm like, this never took place. This is an AI generated image, and you guys are actually using this as evidence. I mean, it's frightening the way society is now. These are people who are on dating apps, and nobody looks the way that they appear in the dating app, and they're fine with it. They're fine with the fact that they live in a fake world, and then they'll send their avatar out to go fuck another avatar on a video game instead of doing it themselves, because preserving their precious fake reality is more important. They don't live in reality. It's more important to hold on to an illusion that they've chosen to believe is real than actually face the truth. Next comes the fake morality, the least moral society that has ever existed, pretending that they get offended by certain things, or that people talk about this or that, or trying to come to LeBron's aid because he's scrutinized and leave his family alone. Bullshit! You people shit on an old man who hasn't played in, 20 years? To lift up your fake narrative, and you want to sit in here and pretend like you have morality? Anyway, so yes, they are cyber bullies because it's all that they have. This is where they exist.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going to call the kettle black. For one, I think they are. I think they are ageist, and I think some of them are self-hating ageists, like the Clayton Bigsby, that Chappelle show skit. I think they're blind of who they are, and then that's a hilarious skit anyway. But with that said, I think that a lot of it, talking about the '90s and saying they're trash, and a lot of these things were covered by you guys. But to go on and just say, "Oh, the latest is the greatest" in a phrase it's indicative that that's just how they're always going to feel. And then when they get old, they're going to start hating themselves. But I don't think they really actually believe that stuff, except for some of the guys that have a thing against Michael Jordan in the '90s. To say that it was so much better now than back then, it's ridiculous. Now, to what AOH is saying, I think they do this through the internet where they live, in the virtual world where they can, their avatars, they can put afros on their avatars and show up to dating, dates. I'm just, AOH actually has an afro, but on the sidebar with that. No, I think they're cyber bullies too, because I mean, I get harassed by LeBron fans every day. I've had multiple hour-long specials about me from certain people. I know Robin just had like a 7-hour special the other day. I know Nick's had some. AOH, have you ever had an hour-long special on you about just before Nick goes again?
About me?
Yeah, about you. Have you ever had an hour-long special about you? LeBron fans hating on you.
Oh, I don't know. I can't put energy into that like Robin does. There's so much stupid in the world. I'm a scientist. I try to fucking deal with people that live in fantasy land. You can't debate stupid. Like it's the same thing with the state of the planet. If you don't want to believe, then you don't want to believe.
Yeah, so the other week you said you were a scientist. I thought you were joking. So you said it again. I don't think you're joking at this point.
No, this is a very different world for me. That's why I have this whole other persona. It's not by accident.
Yeah.
I want to say something, a touch on real quick, before you go on to the next thing, about what you were talking about with the Dave Chappelle skit and what you were meaning about how they hate themselves. I think you kind of right on the money with that, because really what it translates to for me is what they really hate. A lot of these LeBron James fans, but not only the LeBron James fans, a lot of fans of this new era and how they like to tear down the past eras. They can't relate to how good those guys really were. They don't understand. I'll give you an example of what I mean. When we talk about the players from the past being able to play 82 games, giving that effort, those guys showing up to work, you know what I'm saying? All the guys, it wasn't just the main guys, all the guys, they were all out there. The sixth man on the bench, it didn't matter who it was. What did they resort to? You had someone like Gilbert Arenas started saying that these guys were using steroids to play those games. They can't get in their minds the fact that these were grown men that stood on principles, that showed up to work, that fought through those injuries, through those pains. They toughed out those personal problems through those. What do they need now? These guys have mental breaks now and rest days they take. They can't fathom how great these guys really were. The standard. This is why they lower the standard. The only way you could make a lot of these guys today look like they're comparable to some of the other great players of the past is by lowering the standard that you held the other players to. So what do? These guys had to get a minimum put on them because they weren't showing up to work. They had to put flopping guidelines in because these guys were cheating the game. All of these things go to why these guys don't get the respect, and part of the reason why they have to tear down the past eras, because they can't understand how guys like Bill Russell could play back in them days and not have fans ejected from the stands because they were calling them all sorts of racist words, and he went to a hotel and he couldn't stay there. They'll make you believe that the guys today are dealing with the same racism as Bill Russell was dealing with in the 50s and the 60s. It's laughable at best. It's disrespectful to the other great players. Think about LeBron James fake reading a Malcolm X book in public and then lying about it to the face of the people questioning him. What does this say about the past eras and LeBron James and what he stands on? These people today don't understand, man, what we're talking about, and this is why they'll call us old heads.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Nick, did you have anything that you want to add on to what me and Robin said? And do you think that LeBron James fans are cyber bullies?
So I will say this about the cyberbully thing. If you're gonna make videos, if you're gonna like put yourself out there, you kind of have to be open to there might be some crazies out there, right? Who make a video on you or whatever. I'm not even calling people crazy, but there's just that possibility. What are y'all laughing at?
You're right, man. Shut up, say it.
Yeah, it's like you kind of have to take the bad with the good. It is the internet, right? Like as AOH was saying, right? Like there's obviously some people out here who live in a bubble, right? And if they come across your stuff and don't like it, that's just a possibility, right? So I will say that about that. But I wanted to say about I think the cyberbullying thing, I think it's just also a product of being, as AOH was kind of saying, on social media and being, their whole life is right here, right? So it's kind of yes, but it's also nothing new. And I think the social media is just kind of an aspect of the time that is the social currency, right? Like that is where they live so much of their life, right? Whether it's their fault or not. So I do agree with that. So the cyberbullying thing, in my opinion, when I hear that, I think of like really extreme, like someone sending a package who knows where I live to my house or something and trying to like quasi threaten me. Like that's how I think of cyberbullying, right? But so far I haven't had any like real life penalties from what I've done so far. So I wouldn't put him in that category quite yet. I think of a more extreme version when I think of cyberbullying. Critics, yes, I'll call them critics or naysayers or whatever, but I'm not going to go so far as to call them crazy, right? Quite yet, right? As pathetic as they may be at times or sad or wrong, I don't think they're crazy by kind of any standard of sports debate or anything like that.
All right. Robin, do you think that these guys are cyberbullies? Do you have anything to add with what Nick's saying too?
I mean, listen, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here. See, my
Bring
man
on the
Elway said that he
cyberbullies.
ain't here for this. He a scientist. This is what I'm here to dissect. I'm here to dissect these people because once again, I'm here to set the record straight. I'm here to stop the lies, stop the narratives. I'm stopping them from rewriting the history. See, a lot of people think that it's not that serious, and they'll say things like, oh man, you're a grown guy and you're worried about this stuff, this and that. They'll say things like, oh, Michael Jordan doesn't know who you are. Michael Jordan's not paying you any money. Why are you doing this? Once again, if it wasn't that serious, I ask these people, then why would they feel the need to lie about these things on public TV, on national television? Why are there grown men, grown-ups, like they would say, making millions of dollars? Millions of dollars. I'm not making a cent. They're making millions talking lies about someone that I grew up watching. So once again, I tell you guys and I tell everyone else out there that knows my channel, it's about the principles that I stand on. So when I hear all this nonsense that I hear, and I know that's not what I remember and watched growing up, this is why I'm here. Once again, this is why I'm here. So when they try to talk about cyberbullying, you can't cyberbully someone like me because once again, this is why I'm here. So I'm here to set the record straight on these fools. Remember, when we're talking about cyber stuff, it only matters if you let it matter, if you let it affect you. So when people say to you, if you can't understand and learn to turn these things off once you log off, so to speak, then that's the only way these people can bully you. I'm not worried about any of these fools out here and what they say they're specials because once again, all they're doing is exposing themselves. Because if I stand on my integrity, like I have been from day one on this channel, anyone that's been subscribed to my channel from day one, and they watch my fitness videos and they know what I'm about, I stand on the principles and the values that I was, raised with, that my parents raised me with. And once again, Michael Jordan to me represents a lot of those things that I like and I represent myself. So when these people talk about cyberbullying, you could never bully someone like me because that's, once again, I'll say it again, that's what I'm here for.
We had a super chat come in from Jolly Joshams. It was either the AOH or Nick. Again, to remind everyone in the live chat, if you want to super chat somebody, please put who you're super chatting to because we're streaming on multiple channels. But for $5 US, it is so odd to me the differences of how NBA fans disrespect its past, while fans of other leagues hold players from older eras in high regard. AOH, if you want to answer it, and then follow up if you want to add more to the cyberbully thing.
Oh, like different sports, like the problem is worse in the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because have you ever seen in any other sport a desperation to make somebody be something that they aren't? So, you know, you're looking at desperate tactics for a desperate narrative. You don't have to do those things in other sports if you aren't trying to sell a lie. I mean, I'm sure other sports sell lies, but I don't think we've ever seen an attempt to sell a lie on this level before. And so, yeah, you're seeing it worse in the NBA because they're at desperate measures. You spend any time looking and you realize it's not true, or you're one of the people that doesn't want to realize that it's true, and so you look for any new narrative available, including ripping on people from the past that you've never even heard of before. If it makes you feel better, sure, shit on people that you didn't even know existed prior to this new shitting on people. It's crazy. And you know, with my videos, at least most of it was breaking down the facts. It's like showing on screen what happened, showing the people lying about what happened, and then saying, explain it to me. You know, it's more of the scientific approach. Every now and then I'll go on a rant, which is entertaining. But with a LeBron fan, if I were to make fun of them, it's just entertainment purposes, because they don't actually ever bring anything valid to the table to debate on, let's say, a more scientific level. So to debate with someone like that, who's just going to throw catchphrases at you like hater and whatever, well, that's not a debate. That's children acting like children. So if anyone ever wants to debate facts of what happens, well, I have a historical record on my channel, and that's what those videos are for. It's not to waste time trying to get idiots to not be idiots.
Yeah, I wanted to real quick say I do agree though that like growing up, I don't remember the quite so much like the generational hatred on the past. I do know that, right? Like all my dad ever talked about was Lakers and Celtics, right? Like that's, and he thought Michael Jordan was pretty damn good as well, right? So like I don't remember. I definitely this whole comparison, right? And you know, I honestly think this is just part of like the post Jordan era. Like that is the bar, and I think there's maybe some frustration there, right? That the guy who was supposed to be the next guy, you know, look, he's had an amazing career. He's one of the legends, right? But he just did not quite get there, right? He just didn't. The aura, the whole thing is just not the same. And so I think there is, like I said, I think the 90s, all of this is just kind of like taking another angle to try and ankle bite at Jordan in a way and take out his knees or something. But that's kind of what I think this all boils down to, is there was supposed to be the next level and he didn't get there. And so now it's, what do we do now? Like, how do we justify it?
They're approaching it the wrong way, though. Like they're trying to put makeup on a pig type of approach, rather than just have the players act like warriors. You know, you've got guys actually complaining about being encouraged to play 65 games. How are you ever going to have another Jordan when this is who you're dealing with? And do you think that any of those guys are not going to get the max contract the next year or be scrutinized because they acted lazy or complained? No, they've all got it made. How are you ever going to have another Jordan when things are this easy and no one's held accountable?
Well, the reason why it's makeup on a pig is because there is no way around it, right? No matter what they do, it's going to be makeup on a pig, right? I think that's kind of what I was saying, right? Yeah, just accept it. They can't.
But you can't do that now. Like if you've been a bad parent for the first 15 years of your kid's life, and then you come down hard in year 16, you're fucked.
Yeah, that motion's already it's in progress. It can't be stopped. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think it ends well. Like I think after a year or two, LeBron's retiring. I think like his stock will plummet. I think from where he is now, and people will be on to the next thing.
Well, I mean, unless things, like I sort of alluded to, if they continue to go down like this, we may be faced with people looking back nostalgically at LeBron James.
That's true too.
Really scary.
And to echo Rex, like, I think a lot of this generational divide is the money has just astronomically and exponentially grown over the last 20, 30 years, right? And so now a player is less seen as like a roster spot you're trying to construct and add to a team as an investment, a liability, right? Like, you have to watch their minutes, watch their games, load manage them, right? That's now there's so much money, right? Why can't you hit quarterbacks? Well, I'm paying him $30 million a year, and now he's out for a year, and I can't sell tickets, and it all becomes this domino effect with money, right? So I agree with you. I'm just trying to like put some ramifications on why it's going down like this, right? And I think money is, and then again, the post Jordan hype just never got there, right? They just never lived up to it. And like you said, it is makeup on a pig. How do we justify to ourselves that we are right when you're not right, right? It's a hard thing. It's a hard paradox for them to wrestle with, I think.
Well, I mean, one thing I think we can agree on is it's harder and harder to watch, whether it's the NFL or the NBA. I find myself watching largely based on nostalgia. It's like, this was something that used to be important to me and I used to really enjoy. And I'm like, I don't even know who I'm watching anymore, which team they're going to be on, or if they're going to sit out because they had a discomfort. We went from guys who were going to play with broken fingers and stuff because this was their shot to, I'm going to sit out because of a discomfort, a contusion. They had to start saying the word contusion because saying on live television that you're sitting out because of a bruise sounds worse.
Yeah, I 100% agree, right? And again, it's sort of like a trickle down from the money. It's, when everything now is so fragile and like we can't risk anything. And, I agree. It gets so tedious now. Everything is micromanaged almost to a degree instead of just rolling the ball out and saying, like, go earn your money, right? Go play. It's just a totally different thing now. Unfortunately, I agree. The product is not as good. I agree with you on that 100%.
Real fast, I got a super chat came in from Pierre Lynch. Thank you, sir. It was for me. Super chat for $5. He says, "Hey, Dart, how are you and the family? Hello to Robin, Nick, and AOH. Where's Hoop God? Hoop God is doing something with his family today. I don't want to put his business out there. I don't know if he wants me to do that, so I won't. But he's hanging out with his family today. But I'm doing fine. And thank you for the super chat. I hope all is well with you. I thought you were raising your finger up to say something, Robin. No,
I was just shouting him out. Yeah, saying thank you.
Yep. But AOH, so is there anything you wanted to add on about the cyberbully aspect of LeBron fans, or
maybe the ageism? I saw some people were like shitting on Michael Jordan, I guess, for not being black enough because he didn't listen to enough rap, or he didn't give shout outs to rap artists or something like that. And it's like, can you bring the context? Look at James Jordan. What do you think James Jordan, Michael's father, listened to? He's listening to Marvin Gaye and, some good classic stuff. That's going to be passed on to Michael because Michael had parents. He's, these are really desperate cheap shots to attack somebody, like worrying about which artists he supported. Well, how about giving a shout out to the artists that he did support? Everybody can have a different taste, and it's how you're raised, not necessarily. I don't know what they're trying to say, that he doesn't support his own community or something.
I've heard that argument before, that he didn't do enough for the black community. Also, you have to remember the 90s were not, I mean, yes, there was some politics there, but they were not as politically charged. I feel like, I mean, I know I was a kid at the time and certain things did happen, right? But it were just not as in focus as they are now, right? And so I feel like he probably didn't feel as pressured to like make such commitments, right, politically or culturally. I've heard people rag on him for that, and it just, to me, has nothing to do with basketball, right? Like, we're here talking mainly about on the court stuff, and I just don't think, it's not like he disrespected his community, or, you know what I mean? He just was more of a business overall thinking, right? Republicans buy shoes too, as he said. So,
well, how about the joy of people
didn't
didn't
silly to me.
people didn't turn to athletes for their political opinions. I mean,
That
what
too.
what a better time.
Yeah, definitely. That's a lot true. I'm not a role model, right? Like, definitely was a different time. Yeah, for sure on that aspect.
I wanted to say that LeBron fans are definitely mean cyberbullies. Like I had said before, I've had my experiences with people making videos about me, and most of us have. And I think that, you know what, all of that bullying is just going to make me stop saying that Michael Jordan fans are the best, that Michael Jordan's the GOAT. You know what? It's going to stop me right in my tracks because I have no character, backbone, or conviction of, my beliefs. So, you know what? I'm gonna retire right now because of all the cyberbullying. No, it's ridiculous. I think it's funny how people spend all this time to go in your comments section, make videos about you, not even just I think that LeBron's the GOAT. They'll go and they'll attack your character. They'll say you're dumb. It's funny. Like I don't understand how people have all this time. Now, granted, I've come back at people or I've done things in jest, but I've never spent hours on it. I've done like 5-minute, 2-minute videos on these things, but
So you guys all have hate videos, huh?
Yeah, I got a few out there.
Yep. And then me and Nick have an old school adversary. How we came together. This guy, he would dox people, he was crazy, man. I won't say his name on here, but yeah, how me and Nick ended up linking up. The guy that was a cyber bully. He would get people's information. He would say, call in and debate me. And then he would go, and if he didn't like you, he would blast your phone number all over the internet. Like, he was just a terrible person. But yeah, no, I think they are cyber bullies for the most part, or at least the ones that come to my channel, and I would say the ones that come to all of our channels. They're trying to bully us into stopping what we're saying, which, like Robin was saying, I don't care. I think it's funny that, you're spending all this time hating me when you could be doing something productive or making your own videos or, I appreciate the attention. Thank you. Thank you, LeBron fans and you tough keyboard warriors. And you got those muscles in your, I don't know what, I know AOH is a scientist. Maybe he knows a lot about anatomy. I know Robin does a lot of workout stuff. What's the muscles that you get from typing on the keyboard? I know you might get carpal tunnel, but they must be really strong with those. I got some of the haters in here. Enter the Twins. I'll call you out. I see you in here talking about LeBron. But anyway.
Yo, I want to say something. I want to touch on what AOH brought up by talking about the blackness of Michael Jordan.
Okay.
I have to say something about this because once again, this is what we're talking about. These are the narratives and the lies that we're speaking about when they talk about Michael Jordan, man. Nick said something about the 90s and how the 90s was. You're right on the money. Listen, man, you think about the 90s, you think about Hammer Time, MC Hammer. You think about Michael Jackson. You think about Mike Tyson. You think about Michael Jordan. You think about the 90s, man. The 90s was all like that, man. The 90s wasn't all crazy with these stupid nonsensical politics.
Vanilla Ice for us.
Yeah, man, these
Oh, my God.
Karens running around here, all these fools acting like a bunch of babies. Everyone's entitled. Everyone's a victim now. You can't say anything anymore. Everyone takes everything offensive. Everyone's feelings get hurt now. There was a saying that I grew up to back in the day. It was called sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. There is no saying that's more prevalent, that means more today more than ever, man. That saying, if a lot of people would just live by that saying alone, they would be a lot better than themselves, man. A lot of people get hurt by what people say to them. People are so sensitive these days. So these are parts of the problems of now. When we think about Michael Jordan, the blackness of Michael Jordan, once again, I'll say this. Michael Jordan transcended color, man. And what I mean by that is we talk about Michael Jordan and what he meant to the people. The people. It didn't matter what color you were. It didn't matter where you were from. It didn't matter how much money you had. Everyone wanted to be like Mike. And why was that? Because I made a video about this. because of what Michael Jordan represented, man, what he meant to a lot of people, man, because of the effort he gave, the principles that he lived by. AOH talked about his upbringing. He talked about the music he listened to. My favorite artist of all time, my favorite musician is Stevie Wonder. He's my favorite musician. I listen to Stevie Wonder when I exercise. People might scratch their head and how the hell and wonder how you work out to Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder, to me, I could do anything listening to Stevie Wonder, man. My dad, that's why I listen to Stevie Wonder, because I grew up listening to this stuff. So AOH is right on the money when you talk about what you grow up to, what you're around, man. So once we talk about rap music and things like that, did I grow up in the 90s with the Wu-Tang Clan in New York City hip hop? Absolutely, man. When B.I.G., was killed, that was a big day in my childhood. We remember these things. But once again, Stevie Wonder will always remain. So absolutely, Michael Jordan, what he's done for the people will always be there. Michael Jordan has done so many things. There was a black autistic kid that was wearing a full Michael Jordan getup playing basketball. I don't know if you guys ever heard that story. And this kid was going to the basketball court in full Michael Jordan getup. And they would make fun of this kid. They were clowning this kid. And Michael Jordan heard about this and he reached out to the kid. Michael Jordan has done a lot of things. He played basketball in the wheelchair with that other black kid. What are we talking about here? Why do I even have to say this? To me, it's disgusting for me to even have to say these things. What Michael Jordan has done for black people or what he hasn't done as far as his political stances on things, man. Michael Jordan, once again, understood who he was and who he wasn't. And who he wasn't was someone who was going to say things that he didn't mean and say and stand on things. Once again, what does LeBron James always do? He says things and he deletes these tweets. So what are you really standing on? You're not really meaning what you say. Michael Jordan never did these things. Anytime Michael Jordan spoke, we listened.
What was your favorite Stevie Wonder song, or what is your favorite Stevie Wonder song?
There are no favorite Stevie Wonder songs. Once again, I listen to Stevie Wonder. These are records. See, when we think about records, and you mentioned CDs and all these things, that was the difference between guys, how my father grew up. When he put the record on, when I was listening to these things, it wasn't like, oh, my dad just played these specific songs. It was the whole record that we listened to. So there is no favorite Stevie Wonder song. A lot of people know the regular Stevie Wonder songs. But once again, every time the record came on, it played from the beginning to the end.
That is a great point. It was a journey. It was an emotional journey. It had highs and lows in it on purpose.
Yep. I got a question for Nick, though. What do you think compels LeBron fans to want to cyberbully people? What do you think compels them?
I mean, obviously LeBron is their guy, right? So there's no way getting around it. For them, it will always be LeBron compared to Michael. And why use social media? I mean, or be cyberbullies? I mean, obviously, like I said earlier, they're a product of their time, right? That's the outlet and the avenues and the currency, the social currency, I think is a good way of putting it, that we have these days, right? So, but in terms of what compels them, I mean, obviously it's just Michael Jordan versus LeBron. That's what it always is and what it always will be, right? So, I mean, that in a nutshell, that's what it is. That's all the motivation right there. So, I think going after Michael directly has not given them a lot of returns back in terms of trying to make that direct comparison. So again, how they go from here, we're done with the 90s, cyberbullying, however you want to put it, slandering people, right? However you want to do it, right? It'll all just kind of go from there, because I think the head-to-head comparison is just, look, I think we've gotten in debates and we've seen what they say versus Jordan say. It's like, you either are in the Jordan camp or not, or you're in the LeBron camp or not, right? At this point in time. And so I just think overall people don't buy the head-to-head argument. And I think for that, right, it'll just go any other avenue or outlet they can find. It's like squeezing sand or something, right? So cyberbullying is just it's the main social currency, like I said. So if they can slander someone and insult them or make fun of them online, that's one of the more common outlets these days.
I just want to make something clear real fast, is that I think the term cyberbullying is hilarious. I mean, it's just trying to bully somebody, but people just have to categorize all these things. And then again, I just think the spending so much attention for people you don't know online in respect of having your feelings hurt is funny. It's don't misgender me anyway.
Yeah, like I just see cyberbullying as talking shit. Like that's what I think of cyberbullying, right? So like, but these days when people say cyberbullying, I think they are referring to something more extreme, right? Like, here's a picture of your kids, right? You better not, something more like direct and threatening. But if it's just talking shit, like I don't care, man. Like that's part of what we do, like Robin was saying.
Real fast, we got a super chat in. It was sent to me, but I believe it's to Robin Sports Fitness Rants. If y'all want to donate to Robin, he has a PayPal on his channel. Please donate there. Just to remind people that may not know. But for Robin, the lovely one says that's a good topic for video. The relationship of greatness and transcendence. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yo, the lowly one, once again, thank you for your continued support, man. Much respect. Absolutely. Transcendence. Some of the people that I mentioned earlier, the Michael Jacksons of the world, man, these people transcend things like we were talking about, race and all these kinds of things. Time, right? The eras that we talk about. And I want to just touch on something, or go off of that when we talk about the eras and some of the things that we talk about. When I was growing up, the way they used to pay respect to the previous eras, and we talk about guys not tearing down the past eras, is by always saying what? The great players could play in any era. That's what you would always hear them say. They would always say those things. So, yes, I never saw Bill Russell play. I never saw Will Chamberlain, you know what I'm saying? And some of the other great players, the Bob Petts, the Bob Cousy's, some of the great players of the past. I didn't see some of these guys live, but we understood that they were great and they would have been great no matter what. Right? Because of all these things. Today, I doubt a lot of the players today, the mental fortitude of a lot of these guys, and whether they would be able to play under those conditions, because they really are trying to make you believe by rewriting their history, like we're talking about, that the players today are somehow playing under worse conditions. Somehow today they have it worse than the guys did in the past. I don't understand how they can be. So what will they say? Oh, we have to lessen the schedule. These guys were actually trying to say that they're playing too many games. Too many games. But the players of the past who were playing under way worse conditions, they didn't have the advancements of medicine and technology and all of this. I mean, these guys have like 10 different people on their staff, some of these guys, man. They got personal chefs and personal trainers, massage therapists. They got cryo chambers that they sleep in. I mean, my goodness. Bill Russell didn't have none of this stuff. Bob Cousy, George Mikan, did George Mikan have any of these things? No, they didn't have any of this stuff, but somehow these guys were playing 60, 70, and then 80 games the NBA eventually went to. So you're going to sit there and try to tell us, the people who grew up watching some of this stuff, I didn't watch those guys, but you're going to try to tell people who watch this stuff that the players today need to play less games. They need to play less games, that the schedule needs to be spread out more. They can't play the back-to-backs, the 3 games in 4 nights. They can't play the home and away back-to-backs because, my God, that's too much travel for these guys. They can't handle these things. So once again, it goes to what we've been talking about in all of this conversation. Them trying to convince people and tear down the previous eras by making it seem like what you're seeing today is way better, only because the previous eras were garbage, not because these guys are so great, right? Michael Jordan, what these guys did, the Larry Birds, and all these other guys, the Magic Johnsons, the Kareems, the reason why they're so great is because what they were doing was compared to greatness. To greatness. It wasn't being compared to mediocrity. It wasn't being compared to garbage. So what will they do to the greatest player in the history of the game that they're supposed to love? They're going to come in your comment section and all this nonsense, right? But those same people will tell you that Michael Jordan is only 6-0, only because all of the people that he played against in the 90s, they were no good. None of them were really that good. But on the same side, the same people will also tell you that Scottie Pippen was all world. He was amazing. It can't be both.
Just to bring it back in a little bit, Robin. What
I'm all
what do
over
you?
the place.
No, it's all good. What do you think compels LeBron fans to cyberbully people?
Exactly what I just said. Once again, they're rewriting their history because they can't believe what we're talking about. See, when they talk about, oh, we watched the film of Michael Jordan and we saw XYZ. No, once again, you're not watching the film and you're not being genuine. You people don't understand the game. And once again, it's different if you weren't there. I hate to say that, but it's the facts, man. Because once again, if you're going to critique somebody, for example, and I've given an example before, if you're watching a game of Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls versus whoever, it doesn't matter. And you're going to say, oh, look at this guy, he has no left hand. Oh, look at this guy, he couldn't shoot. Oh, look at this guy, he did XYZ. The problem is, you don't know who those players are. You don't know their roles on the team, what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. See, the thing about a lot of these guys back in the days, they played their role. So we called them role players. That's what they did. So when you talk about what compels the LeBron James fans, what compels them is, once again, trying to rewrite their history to make it seem as if what the guys in the past were doing was not that great. Those guys were great players in and of themselves. They played basketball. And once again, they don't have answers. Like you guys said, they don't have an answer for anything. So they must continue to rewrite that history and bend the reality.
AOH, what do you got to say about all this stuff?
A lot of what Robin was saying made me think about a video rant I put out at the beginning of the year. Just the longevity thing again. The guys in the past giving their all for a shorter period of time. And today's fans might be like, hey, load management is good. Look at these guys' careers. They're able to play longer and they're not damaged and whatever. And my point is, why do we owe them long careers? We're the fans that are supposed to be entertained and they're making a shitload of money. We're seeing a worse product over a longer period of time. Why are you cheering for that? Why do you think it's our responsibility to keep these guys in the NBA for 17, 18, 19, 20 plus years when we're watching crap or we're not watching them at all, sitting out when they want to or when they aren't feeling good? What is inspiring about that? What was inspiring is watching the guys that played through injuries because they looked at themselves as professional athletes, which meant you had a short period of time. You're a professional fucking athlete. You're gonna get hurt. That's what your job comes with. So you play for the now. You put it all on the line now, and you battle and you get up and you hurt when you get out of bed and you go and you play anyway. Now we got whining, nearly billionaires not playing, and we're cheering for it because they get to do that longer. It does not make sense what people are cheering for. Oh, you're hating on people. You want people to get injured. No, I want you to acknowledge that they're professional athletes. You're supposed to get wear and tear. I don't get this idea that people are supposed to make that much money in a physical contact sport that they chose as their career and think that they should be able to walk away without any problems whatsoever and have enough money that they could launch their own propaganda machine and run for president the next year if they wanted to. I mean, they're just making too much money.
LeBron 2028. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, that would not be a good idea.
I think in a phrase to what you guys are saying, I think that I think that LeBron fans are compelled to go and cyberbully Michael Jordan fans because they're insecure about themselves. And when Michael Jordan fans bring up some great points, like what was just said with the longevity versus peak, being able to put a better product out for a short period of time, I think they're just insecure about their time or the modern era, however you want to put it. Our time, I guess, is the right way to say it. But now specifically, I think they're insecure about the product. Otherwise, why even fight back? Why not just, why acknowledge what we're saying if there's no truth to it? And to go and look at these LeBron guys, the LeBron fans will just go, and I just think that they are afraid to recognize some of the things that have changed negatively. And I think that's just a problem with their character, and they're just the way they want to look at things. But it is what it is.
Yeah, to kind of
what-
back up what you just said and what I said a second ago too about how this argument will go any number of ways because they can't really do a head to head. The era one, I think, is like another result of that, right? This era is so much greater. The other eras are not as good, right? That's another way to try and balance that LeBron versus Jordan scale, right? So that just to kind of reiterate what you're saying, right? This thing, I think there's a lot of things we're touching on, and I think these are things that have expanded out because LeBron just simply, in my opinion, right, for the most objective fan or on average, he just never passed Jordan, right? So now we have to talk about everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, you hold on. You got some fool in here saying y'all old heads are delusional. So there we go. So once again, we're talking about the ageism that you mentioned earlier. They call us old heads. This is why I can't talk to old heads. Fans don't show up to the games just to see one damn player, bro. Stop it. Are you kidding me? You're telling me that people don't show up the game to see one player? They don't show up to see their favorite player. People don't. Are you? Who the hell believes that? Once again, these people are delusional, man. These people are idiots. But once again, this is why I'm here. So when we talk about Michael Jordan, this is what we're alluding to. This is why Michael Jordan showed up for 82 games, he said. He never knew if there was going to be someone who came to the game, who turned on the TV, that was going to spend their time, their money to watch him play basketball. So he showed up to work. These players today, they don't get that concept. There are little kids showing up to see Luka Doncic. That's who they're showing up to see. They're showing up to see their favorite player play basketball. For someone to make that comment in the comment section, that shows that you are an idiot. You are the kind of people that are the problem with the basketball talk. You fools are ignorant. You're telling me people are not to see there to see one player. Get the hell out of here, man. Get the hell out of here.
I want to say something real quick too, because I have a great, even though it's just an analogy and anecdote, but it goes to serve
That's
true.
insane to say.
I'm going to back up what Robin said though, because I used to work for an oil and gas company, and we had season tickets to the Rockets, pretty good seats, right? And how do you think the games went for when Cleveland came into town, for when Golden State came into town? We're talking like 2015, 16, right? When the Rockets were actually pretty good as well. They had Harden and whatnot. What tickets do you think were remaining when we tried to give them out? And which tickets do you think went real quick, right? The teams that had stars, that had really good players that people wanted to see, everyone was hitting us up to go to see the game and wanted tickets, right? But at the same time, right, this when Dallas was not doing as good. Who do you think got to go see a lot of Maverick games? Because no one really was hitting us up for the Mavericks at the time, right? This is before kind of Dirk's retirement year and, after 2011, after some time, right? So we were not really competitive anymore. I got to go see a lot of Mavericks games because people just, Dirk at that time just wasn't, a ticket seller, right? But absolutely stars drive viewership and drive people to be in the seats. 100%. Larry Bird and Magic proved that without a shadow of a doubt, right? That's what it takes, right? So, and that's not to say anything else other than just look, the average fan, the average normie fan wants to go see LeBron, wants to go see Jordan, wants to go see Kobe, wants to go see Steph Curry in their prime. That's what the average, not guys like us talking, but the average guy on his couch who maybe enjoys sports but isn't a hardcore fan, that's what gets those people to go to games and watch the TV, right? So 100%.
Yo,
We don't need
think about those kids, man. The kids.
That's one of the dumbest comments ever. We don't need to spend time on that one. That is just
Yeah, and the kids too. Yeah, 100%. Some families saving up to go to maybe one or two games, and
You think
a
the
guy
kid
sits
knows who
out.
the sixth man is? He's 6 years old, man. He don't know who the sixth man is. He don't know who the seventh, eighth guy on the bench is. He's not going there for the team. He's wearing the jersey of the player he's going to see. He's there for that guy. This is what I'm saying. This is the general problem with these morons. This is why we have to come out here.
During the beginning of the process for the 76ers, I was really enjoying, and I spent a ton of money watching them go 8 and I'm doing math again early in the morning. 74 I had a real good time watching the 76ers as a team go 8-74. That's why I put my money into watching them. No, yeah, no, I agree. I agree with AOH that this is kind of I think this has been proven time and time again that it's a star league. But yeah. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about the cyber bully ageist meanies, also known as LeBron fans, or do you want to start taking some calls?
Let's get some calls.
Calls, all right.
Do it.
For the people that are just coming here for the first time, it's the easiest to go to my channel and click on the link in my live chat to call in. And if you liked what I had to say, please subscribe to my channel and subscribe to everyone else's channel if you like. Excuse me, what they had to say, and this is your first time coming here. So I'm dropping the link. Yeah, sorry, just give me.
So I'm saying, man. So I'm talking about. That's the problem with the load managing. So I'm talking about the load managing. That's what we're talking about. Showing up to work. Showing up. Putting tickets out there. People showing up. People going to see you play, and you ain't there. That's what we're talking about.
Yep, I'm just got some noise in the background real fast.
They was
Right.
there to see Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
They weren't there to see Luke Longley or Stacey King. They wasn't there to see none of these dudes, man. They wasn't there to see Craig Hodges. There was no one there to see Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
They
And
was there to see Michael Jordan.
my senior year of high school, we got the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Was pretty good at the time. Like they used to, I think I've told this story before, but on the lower deck, the very outer row was standing room only. And if you like painted your body or you came as like a crazy fan, however you want to put it, you'd get in for free, right? And if there was too many people, then you had to do a skit, and it was a whole thing. But the games we went to go see, right, was when Jordan went on his last retirement year. I remember we went to that one, right, to see his last game. That was his last game in Dallas. And any time other than that, though, it was going to see some star player or a really good team, something like that, right? Or maybe the Spurs at the time, right? The Spurs and us were going back and forth. But yeah, that's just how it was, right? That's who you make time for, who you spend money on.
We have Maury G in here. Welcome. Real fast, so Monroe asks, where are the chickens? I have abandoned them. So, yeah, sorry about that. But Monroe G, welcome. How are you today, sir? Or ma'am? Or excuse me, Maury G. My bad.
What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yo.
What's up,
Give a
you
question.
guys? I salute to y'all. Oh, I'm actually a big fan of sports and fitness rants. I heard I got a YouTuber named Ticket TV shouted him out, and I've been watching a couple of his content. And I'm also a fan of Angry Old Hoops, and I haven't checked you guys' channels quite yet, but I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Very cool.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yo, much respect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have a question or for the panel at all or anything?
Yeah, so this is my quick question, and for all you guys, as far as LeBron's legacy, so pretty much most of us are aware that he's 4-6 in the finals. Let's say like hypothetically he stays on the Lakers and he wins at least 2 more finals. Does that help him at least move him up to, like, let's say top 10 or top 5, or do you guys still will have him where you have him?
I was going to say real quick, if I can, are we assuming that LeBron is the best player for these 2 rings? He's going to hypothetically win, that he is clearly the best player that wins the rings for them. Is that also part of the question?
Like, let's say Yeah. Let's say at least, I would say at least if he wins 2 more the championships, and he's at least Finals MVP.
Okay, 1 Finals MVP. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let me answer first. No, he would not. It would help his case for many people, but I think one of the things that really, for me, hold LeBron back from being anywhere near the GOAT status is that his dominance is wildly overrated. People saying that he was the most dominant player in the league. Where's the proof to that? Outside of when he was winning the championships, he'd gotten MVPs that are awarded. People have messed up MVPs. I'm not saying he wasn't one of the best players in the league, but statistically, he only won 1 scoring title, 1 assist title. He won 4 championships. In comparison to Michael Jordan, it was 13 and 6, 13 statistical titles. I don't think that LeBron James can do anything to be nearly as dominant as guys like of some of the guys in the past that were more dominant than LeBron, to be Kareem, Magic, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, amongst others in their own way. I mean, there's a myriad of people. There's about 10 to 15 people that I could solidly put ahead of him if I wanted to make an argument for it. Bob Cousy, George Mikan, just shout out my man George Mikan. I know Nick did it, or I think Robin did it earlier. But yeah, no, absolutely not. Even if he wins 2 more championships, he wouldn't be in the GOAT conversation. Nick, what do you got to say?
Yeah, he wouldn't be ahead of Jordan. I probably would sneak him in my top 10 if he was the main reason they won 2 more rings and he won at least one of those finals MVPs. I'd probably put him on like the Shaq Duncan level in terms of dominance and awards. I got them at 9 and 10. I'd probably put him somewhere around there. But no, not in the GOAT debate. But he'd probably sneak in my top 10.
Oh, real fast. I got Kid from New York City became a member for me, a Michael Jordan fan. Thank you, Kid from New York City. I appreciate you. Long time no see. I hope all is well with you, but thank you for becoming a member. Robin, what do you got to say about all this?
Oh, well, and listen, if my man is a subscriber of my channel, he knows my answer. This ain't gonna do nothing as far as it relates to Michael Jordan or the GOAT conversation. And he'll never be in my top 10 because it has to do with the worthiness of LeBron James. And it doesn't matter really. And listen, I'll just say it. There's no way in hell he's winning 2 more championships and being the best player on the team. I'm saying it. It's not happening, ladies and gentlemen. He'll never be able to do that. That's the ultimate problem for LeBron James. See, for me, LeBron James would have a better, more significant finals record if he would have learned to take a back seat by learning to play in an actual system. But we know he'll never take a back seat to Anthony Davis. LeBron James shouldn't have even won the finals MVP in that 2020 bubble, but that's neither here nor there. So absolutely not. There's no way in hell LeBron James winning 2 more championships and winning 2 more finals MVPs. There's absolutely no way. But either way, it wouldn't make a difference to me.
LH?
Where do you rank Robert Horry? I mean, Robert Horry has been more significant on those championship teams than LeBron has been on these Laker teams. It's, more and more it's getting exposed how everyone has to change when they come to a LeBron team in order to accommodate him. How can that person ever be the GOAT when everyone has to abandon everything that was great about their game before in order to try and lift a guy who needs to be lifted? Like Robin said, he didn't deserve the 2020 MVP. He didn't deserve the in-season tournament MVP. As far as I'm concerned, the bubble was the first in-season tournament, as seriously as people took it. You can't say he's 4 and 6. I mean, that's horseshit. He doesn't have the 4th one, and the 3rd one was stolen. I got to watch the entire 2012 one, but I hear the reffing was pretty terrible on that. And he was carried through most of those by better teammates. And I'm working on a video called LeBron Delivered a Chip for LA, because in those dark years, 2021, 2022, and also 2019, the media came to his rescue and said, well, LeBron delivered a chip Like, you take that team, you take Anthony Davis, you take everything that the Lakers franchise gave away, who they had assembled, anyone could have delivered. I am breaking down the games. LeBron James is not an important factor on that team. He's the cleanup guy. Hey, everybody, do the hard work and let LeBron get the dunk. That was happening all the way back in 2020. It's very obvious now. No defense. Let me get the glory on the other end. Let me get away with traveling and let me get away with offensive fouls. It's been happening for a long time. It's not that recent. It's just the media gives them these accolades so that people can have a conversation like this. Oh, well, if it adds up to this at some point, are you going to put him in the conversation? No, because he didn't deserve any of it. Give him 30 fucking rings. He didn't deserve him.
I just gift him rings. You're the GOAT now, LeBron. Here's another ring. You don't have to go through the playoffs. Actually, let's make a play-in tournament for you.
Bunch of undeserved MVPs, bunch of fucking undeserved titles, all so that Nick Wright and such can have these conversations on their shows and influence people into thinking, oh, well, he does have this many accolades. Like, he has to be in the conversation. It's paperwork. You're being influenced by paperwork, not by what you're seeing.
Oh, the what's a LeBron school called? The I Promise schooler. Yeah, I promise that this will make LeBron the GOAT if you go and you just give him more accolades. I know there's some people that I swear I was talking to Rex yesterday about this, and I've thought about this for a while. There's a lot of channels out there that I believe that they're math teachers at the I Promise school because of all the mental gymnastics they have to do to argue that LeBron's the GOAT with all these stats. That they're the I Promise LeBron's the GOAT professors at the I Promise school.
They have a class just for arguing how LeBron is the GOAT. They teach them all the talking points.
Yeah,
I like that one. That's a good one.
Real fast though, Maury, I'm gonna unmute you in a second, but if you want to call in, I saw some people asking this. You got to come to my channel; it's the easiest way to do it. And if you like what I got to say, please subscribe. Maury, what do you have to say about our takes?
No, I have to say your takes are all you guys' takes is pretty fair, and like for me personally, I don't like ranking players that are still playing. So like right now, I don't have LeBron ranked, but I'm gonna be honest. If I have to rank LeBron, he'll be near the bottom top 10 or at least top 15 to me because like basically when I look at LeBron and stuff, the dude does not know how to adapt to a different team system. Like it always has to be his way. Like and like whenever like over I remember back in 2020, I forgot what game it was. Like Anthony Davis was killing the Miami Heat. What did LeBron do? Instead of keep feeding Anthony Davis the ball, all he wanted to take all these ridiculous shots, and like that cost them the game. And it just like, LeBron does not want to share the spotlight. He just wants to have all the praise, when they win. But when it comes to losing, it's this person's fault. Like,
Yeah, we all agree with that.
Yeah. So like for me, like the reason why I brought that question up is because like the only way I could really put him, at least him being possibly in the conversation for me as a top 5 player, if he wins 2 more rings, and he has to be the reason. But other than that, like right now, I'm not ranking him. If he was to retire right now, he'll be bottom top 10 or top 15 for me.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that's why you can go ahead and rank him, is that those days are just past LeBron of being the best player that leads him to a ring, in my opinion, right? So I don't think there's much else he can do at this point in his career, right? He's hoping. Look, if he sticks around and somehow cuts his ego down just a little bit, becomes like the second, third player in a role and adapts and does what's needed. Because the thing about LeBron is like he could do, if you just ask him to do one or two things to focus on, he can do a lot of things for you just as an athlete, right? And at least being somewhat knowledgeable of the game. But the days of him being the best player are gone. And unless he totally accepts a Robin to a Batman role, which I don't think he'll do, right? I think he'll always want to be a starter and get the ball and control the ball until the day he retires. I think those you can go ahead and rank them because of that. The other thing I wanted to say was, 2020 or whenever they won, AD was like 5th or 6th in MVP voting and was first team both ways. AD absolutely, in my opinion, was the reason they won that ring that year.
Thank you for calling in, Maury G. We have Joel Hernandez, new member of the channel. How are you today, sir?
What's up? What's up, guys? How's everyone doing?
Doing
Right,
good.
right. Yo, what up, man?
What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Good,
Great,
good.
man. I'm moving in.
Awesome. Long time no speak. So I assume the topic of conversation is how overrated LeBron James is.
That's part of it. But the show today was about LeBron fans and how they're mean cyber bullies and ageists.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I totally understand the whole cyberbullying thing. Either we get accused whenever we hold LeBron accountable for for his imperfections. They always bring up our age. Oh, you're an old head, or that's like the number one thing they bring up is like our age, and we're just old and bitter. So I don't know. I went through a LeBron phase back in 2016, because I think that was when he was playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was probably the only season I rooted for him when he went back to. I wanted him to win one for his hometown. Other than that, I hated him in Miami. And when he went to LA, I just couldn't stand him even more. But yeah, his fans add a lot to like the reason why I not that big of a fan of his. But yeah.
Absolutely. Did you have a question for us or?
I have, yeah, sure, no problem. My question is, so who's each and every, because I just got here. I know you guys have been here for like an hour and some change. Who's your top? I would say top 5, like each and every one of y'all, no particular order.
You want me to run down the list? I have it pulled open right now. Dart.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yep, sure.
Okay.
Go first.
Dart has MJ, Bill Russell, Mikan, Magic, and Kobe. Sports and Fitness Rants has Jordan, Wilt, Kobe, Magic, Bird. I have MJ, Bird, Kareem, Kobe, Magic. And did AOH have one?
No, he's not in it.
Okay, then I don't have his, but those are our 3.
That's good. Yeah. So LeBron is not in any of y'all's top 5, despite breaking the most points record and stuff like that. No, right?
I have a top 10 that's actually an 11 because I do think I think LeBron's right on the cusp of top 10 for me, but I left him off my top 10 list. He's like 11 or 12.
Got it, man. And for the Mr. Sports Fitness Rants, are you from New York as well, man? I detect
Of course
like
I am. Of course.
Yeah,
okay.
to say, of course. Yeah.
I detect a strong accent because I'm from New York as well, man. I'm from Brooklyn, so I was like, okay, this guy.
Respect,
So how do you feel about the Knicks losing? Man, that shit was you got to be proud of them for like making it this far with almost their key players out. But how do you feel about that, man? You think
Well, right there, that's the key, like you said, man. It's the injuries, man. So it's almost like a bittersweet feeling that we have as the New York Knicks fans that haven't really had a great team since the '90s. So like I tell people all the time, man, I get in arguments sometimes with New York Knicks fans of the Carmelo Anthony Knicks. And I tell them all the time, those Knicks with Carmelo Anthony, they can't touch the 90s Knicks, man, with Patrick Ewing, man. So to me, the 90s Knicks is the last legit New York Knicks team that we've had. So for this team this season to go to where they were going and to have all the injuries add up and pile on as the playoffs went on, like I said, it's kind of bittersweet. But yeah, absolutely. You're proud of guys like Josh Hart, who played every minute in one of them games, man. Almost every minute of every game this guy was playing, man. And even my man Brunson, man, the littlest guy out there, man, but he was playing through a lot of the nicks and bruises, man. So hell yeah, man. Shout out to all them dudes.
So Joel, I thank you for calling in. It was good talking to you, man. We got a bunch of callers in the background, so I'm gonna let them on. But I appreciate you becoming a member, and I hope all is well with you, man.
You got it. Take care, gentlemen. All right,
Thank
later.
you, man.
Yep.
All right,
Bye-bye.
you got it, bro. Bye bye.
Yeah, I'm a low-key Brunson fan. I hope you guys do well.
We've got Popcorn Sutton here. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, it's me. It's Rex.
Oh,
It's Rex, my man Rex.
Rex, the a new pseudonym. Anyway,
Do you have a question for
Well,
the panel?
my daughter jokingly calls me Popcorn Sutton because of the beard.
that's funny. How did your day go? I know you got caught up with something. You were supposed to come on, but for the Rex fans, I guess here he is.
Yeah, just I'm in the middle of trying to do a business deal, and I'm driving from point A to point B. But I told you I was going to be involved, so I'm trying to be involved to some extent, at least.
All right. Well, how about this? I'll leave you on the panel for people that have questions, and you can answer them. So,
All righty. I got my get off my lawn sign ready.
Nice. All right. We're gonna let Phil in here. Phil, how are you today?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? So, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yo, what up?
What's going on? What's going on? I'm from Ozone Park, Queens, by the way. So I'm from New York also. But I wanted to talk about the system part. And I wanted to ask y'all, do you think the closest thing LeBron has played in the system was in Miami, which is why his best years were in Miami, and he had the most success in Miami? Because technically, Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra pretty much forced him to play some sort of a system, even though they did let him do a little bit of his thing. But for the most part, it was a system that they had in Miami. Would you guys agree with that?
I can see that. I don't think I would push back too hard on that.
Real fast, Rex. If you're not talking, can you mute your mic, because there's a lot of, I don't know if you have the window open, but there's a lot of background noise.
No, that's what's bad. I don't have the window open. But yeah, I got it.
All right, thank you.
Spoelstra's proved me wrong. I wasn't sure if he was worthy of the job when he first got it, but he's turned out to be a pretty good coach. So what you say seems to follow.
What I would say is that I think that I don't really think that, I think the success was more about the quote unquote heat culture, because he was able to go and have he became ball dominant. Dwayne Wade was ball dominant. I'm not a coach, and I haven't broken it down to go and explore exactly what the differences were. But to the point of it is that I think they were more successful due to the heat culture per se, about Riley holding people accountable, not kicking Spoelstra out when LeBron was trying to get him fired after year one, essentially. Standing ground. I think they were more successful because they had kind of bearing in a standard led by Pat Riley. What do you got to say, Robin?
Well, I was having a hard time hearing what the exact question is. I'm just trying to gather some information what you guys are saying, man. But if we're talking about LeBron James on Miami,
Phil, do you want to ask the question again?
Sure. I guess my question would be, was the closest thing that LeBron had as a system or playing in a system was in Miami due
Right.
to Eric Spoelstra, and Pat Riley. And the reason why I even asked this is because of John Sally. I don't understand. Is John Sally? I don't want to just change the subject or anything, but is he insane saying that uh, LeBron would be better than Jordan in a system? That LeBron can't even play in a system. You know what I'm saying? He is his own system. He doesn't know how to adapt to a system. He doesn't know how to play any other system but his own. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But back to my question was, do you think that his best success was in Miami playing in some sort of a system that they had in Miami? Because that was the closest thing to a system that they had, that he's had, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I think a lot of people feel that LeBron James was probably his best version of himself in Miami. But I don't think it just has to do with the quote unquote system that they were running or they weren't running. What it has to also do with the quality of players that was around him. You're playing with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and a host of other really solid veteran role players around LeBron James. So those are the kinds of things that we allude to. And once again, we must also remember though, in 2011, that was part of the problem for LeBron James. In the finals, he was struggling playing off the basketball. He didn't really know what to do in certain instances. So when the Mavericks were running that quote unquote zone against LeBron James, he didn't know what to do now because he didn't know how to get free or get to spots on the basketball court to be effective. He never had a go-to move or, like I said, the spots on the floor that you need to be effective in a zone to be effective that way. So what did they do? Dwayne Wade himself said he studied film of Michael Jordan to understand and figure out how to help LeBron James and play more off ball so that he could be more effective in his classic his system. So even though they played in a system, so to speak, in Miami more so than any other time, they were still in a system. Because remember, that was part of the problem for Chris Bosh. He had to figure out how to fit in around LeBron James. They had him standing out there in the three-point line. That was never his game. So these guys still had to do those things for LeBron James for the Heat to be successful. They had to play defense behind LeBron James and his inconsistency on defense. They had to rebound for LeBron James. 6'9", 260, averages 7 rebounds a game for his career. That's mediocrity at its finest. So these guys have to rebound for him. All these other things. You mentioned Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra has once again exposed the narrative that LeBron James never played for a quality coach. There's a reason why Eric Spoelstra has lasted in Miami for all these years, because the man gets the job done. He's done more with less than any other coach over the last 10, 15 seasons in the NBA, man. There's no other way you can say it, man. So, yes, absolutely, LeBron James played somewhat in a system in Miami and they were effective, but at the same time, these guys had to do those things and adapt their games to help him.
Rex, what do you got to say about this?
Well, I think system is too strong of a word. I think philosophy would be a better way of saying it, because like the caller said, LeBron, basically you have to play his game. And you and I talked about this yesterday, that since the age of 16, he's always been handed the keys. You have to fit to him. That was, the difference with Jordan coming up is in high school, he was on a senior laden team. He was an underclassman. When he got to North Carolina, he was behind Worthy and Perkins in the pecking order. When he got to the NBA, you're no longer talking team, you're talking league, and he's now in Magic and Birds League, and he had to move himself up through the ranks. So you sort of learn more that way than when at 16, everyone just gushes over you and says, okay, he's the guy, let's get the parts to fit around him. And then when, what Robin was saying, when the other team, and that is exactly why I say that in 2011, Miami lost because Spoelstra got worked by Carlisle. And what Robin just said, that's what Carlisle did. He made Miami play without LeBron being the focal point, the system guy. Everyone keying off of him. he forced a change that Spoelstra wasn't experienced enough at that point to know how to handle. And when LeBron just fell through the floor, they couldn't recover. But it's more when you're with Riley, he's played different ways. He doesn't have a system. He has a philosophy that he will come up with in accordance with who's on the roster. When he had Kareem and Magic, it was not the same system that he had with Starks and Ewing. He will put forth a team philosophy based on who he has on the roster. But with his weight, at least in Miami, LeBron was forced to be somewhat accountable. And he couldn't just be the man and everyone key around him all the time, because you had other all-time greats on the team. But you also had all-time great bench players in Miami who knew their role and didn't have to adjust to LeBron. They had played that role through their whole career. And that's the brilliance of Riley there, is getting and having those people. That's why he had the most success there, being LeBron, not Riley. But I think the place where he had the biggest system was actually on the Olympic team.
That's fair. Phil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say? But thank you. Thank you for calling in. I'm going to let the next caller in. You have any last words before?
No, that's all I had to say. But I do want your guys' thoughts on what John Sally had to say about that also.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
I feel like he says that just because LeBron is quote unquote a better passer, right, and played point guard. I feel like that's the only reason he said that.
Yeah, yeah, he's a hater. That's why. No. We got Pierre here. Welcome, Pierre. How are you, sir?
Hey guys, how you doing?
All right, what up?
Good. Listen, I got a great question for you guys today, and good to see you, Nick. And you know, Robin, me and you's tight, brother.
Yes, sir.
And, listen, and Rex, I really miss you, man. I'm gonna be honest, I really miss you. So I hope you come back. You know.
Yeah, I've had some stuff, some medical stuff with the family going on.
Yeah, I know, but Dart told me, but I just wanted to let you know that I miss you. You know, I miss you.
Oh
I
yeah,
miss
it'd
your
be
input.
nice if I could get back full time, but like I said, I'm working right now as I'm going. I'm trying to get some stuff done on a Sunday.
Oh, cool. Listen, the question I got for everybody on the panel, okay? I want you guys to go one at a time, all right? Listen to this, Dart. Everybody's been putting Akeem in their top 10, which I have no problem with. I love Akeem. Loved his game. Loved that he won with hardly anybody with him. You know what I mean? And all that other stuff. His defense, everything, right? He basically won because Jordan wasn't there. But, you know, that's my opinion, of course. But everybody's putting Akeem in their top 10. I can't put him in his top 10, in my top 10, because he hasn't won enough. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not going to completely blame him, but I'm just saying I wanted to know how you guys feel about that, because I see a lot of people putting Akeem in their top 10, like, you know, over Curry and all these other people who've done more, you know, and who got a better resume. So I just wanted to throw that question at you guys and let you guys on one at a time tell me what you think.
As I'll start first as being one of these. Maybe Robin would say I'm a Hakeem hater, because sometimes I'll keep him out of. I don't rank him really high. I just don't. To kind of what you're saying, Pierre, I think that he hasn't done a lot in comparison to a lot of all-time greats. He's got a lot of rebounding titles, a lot of block titles. That's all great, and it should be considered. But the championship run, I think it's unfortunate for him that he was in the time of Michael Jordan, because I think there's a difference between being the greatest player and being the best player. He may be a top 10 best individual player as a center of all time. I would have him in my top 10 of centers. But I mean, to include all players, he might be top 10 all time, but as a best individual player. Now, I'll leave it at that. But for in regards to greatness, using that word, I do not have him in my top 10. I don't think, to your point, that he's done enough to applaud or to be applauded as one of the top 10 greatest players of all time. But he was an amazing skill player. Everyone knows this. So to say, if you approach that definition differently, and a lot of people do, then yeah, if you have him in the top 10, I don't think it's crazy. But I look at it differently with that word. I don't think he should be in the top 10 greatest players of all time. Nick, what do you got to say?
Yeah, so I don't know if he saw my debate on Curry versus Wilt, but it's kind of the same thing. When I was making this list, right, we're talking about very small differences and nuances, right? And two-way ability was a big thing for me. So why I would leave someone like Curry out and Akeem would get in, that would be a big part of it, right? Akeem can still get you 25, 30 points, but he also gets you 5 blocks and 15 boards, right? So he was top 10 in 4 categories when he retired. So in terms of his just overall ability and contribution, I don't think that's in question. In terms of the winning, as great as Jordan was, I think it's fair to, even if you're pessimistic, you say Houston probably wins at least one, right? You would just to kind of be fair and be objective, say, all right, if Jordan played through, maybe Jordan wins one and Rockets win one or something like that, right? And then for me, right, with the two-way ability, the skill sets, and then I value peaks. So Akeem winning a MVP, Finals MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year, in terms of a culmination of an almost perfect season in a way from a individual standpoint, right? And the road that they went on to win, still one of the hardest roads ever in the new salary cap era in the 90s that he did. That's why he's top 10 to me, right? The two-way ability I think is big in a top 10 aspect. And that's why when you specifically bring up Curry, that would be probably the main reason I put one over the other.
Robin, what's your take?
I have Hakeem Olajuwon in my top 10, man. So
Me too.
for me, absolutely. And listen, this is the thing when I think about Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, I'll say this: when I talk about my top 10 and I think about top 10 players, I often tell people it's not necessarily that I'm saying these are the top 10 players in NBA's history. These are the people that I feel are worthy to be in a top 10 of all time conversation, to be worthy enough to be of the top 10. That's a big thing for me. And that's why I don't have LeBron James. For me, he's not worthy. He doesn't carry himself with the worthiness of a lot of these other all-time greats. Now, I understand you talk about the winning, but once again, when we think about Hakeem Olajuwon, this is why I'm always trying to tell people, this goes to the greatness of the 90s. When we speak about how often or not often Hakeem Olajuwon has won, right? And we think about the times that he's gone to the NBA Finals, and we think about the 90s, and we think about the center position, and you think about the other great centers that Hakeem Olajuwon was going against every single season, man. There was only going to be one team representing the Western Conference, man, and these guys were battling year after year after year. I tell people all the time, the 90s had more 55-plus win teams and more 60-plus win teams than any other era in the history of the game, guys. Those are the most wins. So what does that show? There's been a lot of great teams that were winning a lot of games, man. When you're talking about the Sonics, a lot of people don't realize because they didn't make the finals that many times and they never won, but they won 60-plus games like 4 or 5 times in the 90s, man, the Sonics. So when we think about some of the great teams in the Western Conference, the competition that Hakeem Olajuwon was going against and the way that he performed under these odds, I mean, think about the finals alone. He was going against Shaquille O'Neal, a young, spry, right? Physical prime Shaquille. Listen, for me, Shaquille O'Neal and Orlando Magic was a greater two-way athlete than any other point of his career. That way he moved at that time, man. And Hakeem Olajuwon dominated this guy. And also going against Patrick Ewing, man, one of the all-time great centers, man, with a really good team. right? Pound for pound, the New York Knicks were a better team than the Houston Rockets were, in my opinion, man. And once again, they were able to win because Hakeem Olajuwon. So is he top 10 to me? Yes. If you said he wasn't, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I don't think it's a stretch or reach to have Hakeem Olajuwon in the top 10 because once again, think about all the great players in the 90s at his position alone that you could think about. When you think about the Patrick Ewings, the Shaquille O'Neals, the David Robinsons, the Mark Eanes, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the Moses Malones, the Rick Smiths. I mean, he was the Alonzo Mournings, the Dikembe Mutombos. We're talking about some of the all-time great centers, man, on both sides of the ball that Hakeem was battling.
Rex, what do you got to say about Hakeem? I already
Robert
know.
Parrish.
I already know your answer to this, probably. But what do you say about Hakeem being in or out of the top 10?
Well, I don't have a top 10. I don't specifically rate players that aren't playing same positions because they have different jobs. How do you who's the top 10, the plumber or the electrician? I mean, they have different jobs. But I'm also, I guess, biased. Not that I'm biased against Hakeem, but I'm biased towards his opposition because I went to high school with David, and I was a huge Georgetown fan growing up, and I still believe Patrick Ewing was every bit as good as Olajuwon. He just didn't have the same level of teammates and management. But
no, he was
I mean,
just
he
not
had no
Hakeem. Just say it.
Say what? What do you want me to say, Robin?
You took a long ass pause thinking about what you were going to say next because the answer was he just wasn't Hakeem. That was the difference.
It
okay, we'll
starts
go
already. The feud continues.
Yeah, there's no feud.
Yeah.
You need two to fuse.
Pierre, so what do you got to say about all this? You there, Pierre? I think we lost Pierre. But
Okay.
but Rex, since you weren't here in the beginning of the show, do you think that LeBron James fans are ageist cyberbullies, and why? Rex, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was going around a turn. I had to.
Okay.
I mean, not just them. I mean, I face it from pretty much every fan under 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, the overwhelming, the 90s weren't as good. The 60s weren't as good. The 70s was trash. Today, this is the pinnacle. This is the greatest athletes, the greatest players, the most skilled, the most athletic, the most this, the most that. Now, basically, the greatest from every era are all on the same level. Human, it doesn't progress like that. It's just rules changes. I mean, the young guys need us older guys, we've seen it. We've seen multiple eras. We've seen players that start in the 60s, like Kareem, and end almost at 1990. Well, essentially, he did end at 1990. I mean, we see these guys be great across supposed eras. Great players play great. But the younger fans, they pick their guy. And if you're from a older generation, and it's not just sports, it's society as a whole, you're outdated. You don't know. You're not up to speed. They refuse to acknowledge wisdom and believe they have all the knowledge. Because I saw it on YouTube.
What's that, Rex?
Did you hear any of that?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
well, I heard you.
It just seemed like you stopped suddenly. That's all.
Oh, then I probably cut out. That was the end.
No, we heard you the whole way. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you had more to say. But But all right, yeah. Do y'all have anything else you want to talk about? The callers have stopped calling, and I could drop the link again. But do y'all want to talk about anything that has come up since the callers came in, or anything that you've thought about?
Just
No,
game
this
two, game
Hakeem
two
thing has
tonight,
started.
baby. That's all I gotta say.
What's that, Robin?
No, I was saying your Hakeem thing has started a whole thing here in the comment section, man, with the Hakeem Olajuwon and all this stuff, man.
Oh yeah. Rex, can you please mute your thing again if you're not talking? But yeah, no, I we have Jim from Self Research NBA Facts in here. I know he's made some the video on Olajuwon, and I know that he was supposed to debate Olajuwon versus West with YT Hoops with their technical difficulties. Yeah, man, the whole dream thing. I just the whole aspect of being greater, and again, I don't have Duncan. I don't have Duncan in my top 10 either, greatest, or do I? I don't remember. But I could see it's kind of similar where I just don't think it did enough for
You don't have Duncan in your top 10.
yeah. I think Duncan is one of the best players of all time. I think he's a top 5 best player of all time. But greatest, I think it's more than just your game on the court. But that's just my opinion. Obviously, there's a lot of people that feel differently about that. But yeah, man, I don't think that Hakeem. I think Hakeem is applauded a lot of his greatness because he went back to back while Michael Jordan was not playing in the same era. Personally, I think he gets a lot of his credibility by winning back to back in the 90s, which is a feat. I'm not saying it's not. Back to back is amazing. But I
Dog,
think
what are you doing, man? Stop it right now. I don't want to have to do this stuff, man.
You
Listen,
can't hold that against him. Look,
listen,
real
Tim
quick. Let
Duncan
me
is
go first.
absolutely a top 10 player. Hakeem Olajuwon is definitely a top 10 player, man. If you talk about a best and a greatest list, you have a best and a greatest list, right? And you kill me with that, but you have a best and a greatest list. Once again, if you combine those lists, when you combine the greatest of a player and their best, bestness, let's say, and you combine that, that gives you the player right there. There you go. And when you combine Hakeem Olajuwon's greatness and his bestness, right? How best he is, damn it, he's the top 10 player of all time. Because once again, when you combine the plays he was going against, I saw someone in the comments say something about go look at the film of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar outplaying Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon was in the NBA Finals his second season in the NBA alongside Ralph Sampson. And why was that? Because they just happened to beat the Los Angeles Lakers en route to do that, the Showtime Lakers. So please spare me with this stuff, man. Listen, Hakeem Olajuwon, once again, I'm not saying you're crazy if you don't have him top 10, but there's no way that for you to not have him in the top 10, to me, it seems more far-fetched than anything because, once again, the things that he's done, the era he played in, and like I said, the way that he was able to maximize players around him. I saw someone else also say, my man, I think it was my man Health Insurance out there with Health and Dental and Life. They were saying something about John Starks. If John Starks makes those 3-point shots in Game 7, then the New York Knicks would have won the championship. Yeah, okay, we can say that maybe. But once again, why did it go to a Game 7? The New York Knicks were up 3-2. Why did it go to a Game 7? If Patrick Ewing was that great, then they should have closed the deal out. We can't put that on John Starks.
And didn't Hakeem block John Starks for a game winner?
Yeah, Hakeem
At the
Olajuwon was
3-point
doing
line?
his
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and also, so
Hakeem
real
might be
quick,
top 30. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say real quick. So like I'm from Dallas, right? And I moved down to Houston when I was younger, but always stayed a Dallas fan, right? And so I always gave my Houston friends shit about Jordan retiring, and they don't really count. But to be honest, and I've admitted this to them, right? Like you can't hold that against them, right? You can only play who's in front of you, right? And so what you could say is, all right, when Jordan retired, right, there was obviously a next best player if you want to argue that, right? If you want to say, well, they wouldn't have wanted Jordan was back. Well, then when Jordan was gone, it was very clear Akeem was next up, right? And so if you're telling me you're so good that you go back to back when MJ retired and you were next up after MJ in a way, then that's also pretty damn good as well, right? So I always say, like, even if you're on the Jordan sort of side of that argument, I would say you have to at least give him one, right? And that one, he won Defensive Player of the Year, first team both ways, Finals MVP, right? He absolutely mopped the floor with the NBA that year, right? So I think he's proven how good he can be or was.
The Bob Cousy is greater than Hakeem. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not, but I'm just starting the pot here. But we got Jimmy James here. Welcome, Jimmy James. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Great.
Hey, one thing I was
man?
looking at as the ratings for each of the finals by year, and it's funny when you look at if you go down the list, when even in LeBron's first year in the finals, like the ratings kind of plummeted from the year before, and then if you kind of look, throughout the rest of the years, like they never really went too high. Like people don't seem like they were too enthused about watching them. And if you look at the highest rated and the lowest rated, highest rated is 98, the Bulls, lowest rated 2020.
I will say that first year he played San Antonio, and as great as San Antonio was, they weren't always the biggest draw either. So that one could maybe be a little two-sided with that one. But I haven't looked at the other ones close enough.
Even with like the Warriors, because the Warriors were, I guess they were kind of an exciting team to watch, even though they were loaded.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like I don't know. It seems if LeBron is so high on this list of like greatest players ever, why does his ratings don't really match that? Like and also I do think Akeem is a top 10 player. I don't see why he wouldn't be. Like what kind of flaws does he have in his game that would keep him out?
This is turning into everyone jump on Dart.
Did he ask at the end there? Did he ask why LeBron would be out of the top 10?
No, I was asking what flaws does Hakeem have in his game that would keep him out of the top 10?
Oh, I have him in my. I don't think there really are any flaws. I think he's one of the best two-way players ever. So I would be on your side of the question on that one.
I just think it for me, because how I categorize greatness is team success, individual success, which he has both, but then influence. And that's another reason why I don't have Tim Duncan in my top 10 as well, is because I don't think his influence on the game was as grand as other players that I have.
Greatest foreign NBA player ever?
That's not influence out here, man. We're supposed to be
That's not influence
channels here, man. Come on, man.
He started the whole Nigerian sports wave. I feel like we're in right now when I look at MMA and stuff too.
So out of that whole class of center, because that was like a big center dominant era when we had Ewing and Olajuwon, Shaq, David Robinson. Who's the best out of those guys?
I would say Hakeem, but I don't have any of those other guys in my top 10 either. But yeah,
I mean that's pretty good to be the top rated guy out of all those great centers, though. So
it is, yeah, he's great. Like I said, I don't think it's crazy if he's top 10. But I think we're going down this rabbit hole.
I want to speak off of what he was talking about when he talked about the NBA Finals and the ratings and things of that nature, the popularity of LeBron James. I just want to say touch on that briefly, man, real quick. This is what I've been talking about on my channel. I often say that LeBron James, his popularity, all the love, it's not real. It's fake. Once again, when LeBron James goes in public, he never knows how he's going to be received. He might get booed. He may not get booed. He don't know. Look at the 75th anniversary when Michael Jordan showed up. Michael Jordan wasn't supposed to show up that night. He wasn't supposed to. I guarantee you, if LeBron James knew for 100% that Michael Jordan was going to be there, he probably wouldn't have even showed up, man. Because once again, this is why he wanted to show that fake love to Michael Jordan and ingratiate himself with Michael Jordan. Look at the way everyone looks at Michael Jordan when he was walking around those rooms. When you see highlights of all the players around Michael Jordan, they look at him with that respect, man. that respect, man. So when you talk about the popularity, this goes to what we were talking about earlier. Some fool actually has the nerve to say that people don't go to NBA games to see certain players. Like, people are idiots, man. It's the certain players that people go to see. Michael Jordan was box office. When we think about the Utah Jazz, they're not a big market team. They weren't a big market, but those NBA Finals were still bringing in people because of Michael Jordan. He was on another level. Now, we don't want to compare every player to Michael Jordan when we talk about the NBA Finals and ratings and things of that nature, because Michael Jordan, once again, we use that word transcended. He was on another level. These Steph Currys, the Tim Duncans, the LeBron Jameses, they're not on Michael Jordan's level. They're really not as popular as you believe that Steph Curry is or LeBron James is. As popular as you think he is, he's nowhere near where Michael Jordan was at his heights. Michael Jordan in the 90s is unmatched. No one's been like Michael Jordan in the 90s. So that goes to why the ratings are not what they are, man.
But yeah, thank you for calling in, Jimmy. We got Jim M in the background.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yo, thanks for calling in.
All right, have a good one, guys.
You're good.
Jim, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Yo, Jim, my man.
What's up, man?
In the building, yo, you blowing up, man.
A little bit.
Doing your thing.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Look, Dart, I'm not going after you at all, but you know, I've heard
Go after
stuff.
him, Jim.
Get
Please,
him.
Jim.
Get him.
Well, look,
There should be a whole show dedicated to my Hakeem hate.
Do it, Jim.
well, I looked into Akeem a lot because I was supposed to do that debate, but there was just some things that I saw that really stuck out. One was in '98 when Shaq and Kobe went up against Utah, they got swept. Duncan and Robinson, they lost one game. Akeem beat them 2 games more than both those teams combined in '98, and that was when he was like 34 years old or something like that. I did a video on Curry and Olajuwon because I heard Chris Broussard said he's got Curry in the top 10, but not Olajuwon. Did you know at 36 years old, Olajuwon only averaged a 1.5 less than Curry at this point in his career? That's it. 1.5 less. All those threes, all those scoring titles, that's it. And my point was Olajuwon's best side of the ball was defense. So if you think Curry's best was offense, maybe that's a wash. And then look at Olajuwon's offense versus Curry's defense. It's not close.
That's a great point, Jim.
Yeah. But Olajuwon in his career beat 3 teams that had 2 players first team All-NBA. That's more than Jordan, more than Bird, more than Duncan, Kobe, Magic, Kareem. Nobody beat 3. He did. He also never won 60 games. He was never the number 1 seed. He just never had a good team. But what he was able to accomplish, as far as I know, he's the only player to be in the top 10 in assists, steals, points, and rebounds in the same season. I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody else doing that. He did that.
When he retired, he was top 10 all time in those categories for all time.
Right, from any position.
Kuzi's still greater. No, he's amazing, man. I'm not. Again, this has devolved into it seeming like I hate Hakeem. If having him top 10 is not crazy at all. It's, you know, I do often people will criticize how I look at who's the greatest. So I understand having him in top 10 and the way you guys describe it. Absolutely, he should be top 10.
Yo, Doc, man, we love you, man. We do.
He only lost once when he had home court advantage, and that was in '98 against Utah. He was up 2-1. They lost. And he only lost, or that was when he had the lead. He only lost once when he had home court advantage and once when he led in a series. The only people, he's in territory of like MJ and Russell on that one. They're the only other players that have either never been beat at home or only lost once with a lead. He's up with those guys and that kind of stuff. He just never had a team. From 82 to 89, the Lakers ran roughshod over the whole West, 8 years. But there was 1 year that one team beat them in 5 games, and that was the Rockets in 86. They took them down. And that was 2 first-team All-NBA players, Magic and Kareem. So I'm just saying, like, all that should be factored into his resume. You know what I mean? The ring counting, look, I used to hold in high esteem, but I realize you got to look at it more of how many shots did you have at winning a title. I only see the 3 for Hakeem, And that was the 3 times that he made the finals, and he won 2. And the other one, he took the 86 Celtics to 6 games, which is kind of a feat in itself, and nobody could beat that team. They won 35 games at home in a row. So you couldn't even win a single game in Boston. So I'm just saying, like, all those things for me get factored in.
Real fast, I got a super chat from Fido So Fly. He says for $4.99, thank you, sir. What's crazy is that everyone was at home during COVID for those finals, and it still finished as the lowest rated. All of Jordan's were high rated. Yeah, this was brought up with Jimmy James, and it went more to the Hakeem thing. But no, yeah, absolutely. And this is a reason why I have Jordan as the greatest. Just one of the reasons, not the reason. But just his wild popularity and his iconism is one of the biggest reasons why he's the GOAT. And I believe that LeBron is lacking severely in that aspect of appreciation of basketball.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, yeah, you just look at the ratings. That's really is like a tell-all kind of thing. Not just LeBron Jordan, but just the popularity of the sport itself right now versus back then. You know, it was rivaling the NFL in the 90s. It was. People think now that's crazy, that's absurd, but it really was. Now, oh my God, they're getting beat by women's college basketball in ratings. It's nuts.
Yeah, it is changed severely. But I wanted to mention something, Jim, just to give you some credit. And Nick,
Okay.
this is not a shot at you, but this is more to give credence to Jim. I think Jim might be on your level of a stat guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, word! You guys are the stat nerds, man.
We have to find something to debate. Something we disagree on.
I mean, yo, we gotta see who can come with the craziest, most researched stats of all time. Like nobody knows this stat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah, that'd be funny.
But Jim is going to have a debate on my channel on Tuesday night against Hoop God, and we're gonna be doing teams for the MJFB Summer Debate League. I haven't plugged it this entire time.
Yeah, and I got to go against Akeem.
Yeah, ironically.
Yeah.
It's going to be the 94 Rockets versus the 86 Celtics. Jim will be defending the 86 Celtics they're arguing for, and then Hoop God will be doing the 94 Rockets. So it'll be a good time. It'll be live, 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night.
Dang, I'll have to watch that because I have to debate the 86 Celtics versus the 17 Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll let you guys go. I know you're going to wrap it up. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday.
Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely,
Yo, Jim,
Jim.
man. Thanks for coming through, man, as always.
All right.
Check out
you too, man. Thanks. No
NBA
problem.
Facts. Yep. Check out Self-Research NBA Facts if you like what Jim had to say.
Jim came with the machine gun.
Yep. Everyone is just coming at me. They're trying to put me on the firing line. Pierre, I know you've been trying to get back in there.
Can you guys hear me?
Yo,
we're about to wrap it up, or we'll take one more thing from you though.
I kept getting cut out, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't finish my point with Dart. Listen, hey Dart, listen. I want you and Robin and Nick to understand one thing. I agree that Akeem is awesome, and I know Rob is going to get on my ass right now because he knows how much I love Curry. Okay, you know Curry's one of my favorite of all time. Okay, but see, I go more into who he is as a person too. You know what I mean? And of course, you know what he's done on the basketball court. And I see all these idiots in the chat, you know, ripping Curry apart, but I'm not paying no attention to that. But listen to what I'm saying to this, Dart. I agree that, once again, that Akeem is definitely top 10 with the majority, you know, of the percentage of people out there, even though I got him as number 11, you know, on my top 10 list. Because, Dart, I want you to hear my top 10 again, my top 5 again. Okay. I got MJ number 1, right? Mm-hmm. Then I got Akeem number 2. Okay. I'm sorry, not Akeem. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Then Bird, Magic, and Kobe. Those are my top 5, right? Mm-hmm. But here is my last point. Dart, and I want you to answer this, okay? And give me an honest answer. All right.
Okay.
I love Dr. J, okay? You know, like I told you long time ago, that, you know, even though I'm much older than you guys, and I grew up on Dr. J because I used to go to all
Oh no, I think we're
Dr. J. I was in the Nets fan club, you know, back when I was 12. Here's my question, Dart. Dr. J, if you add his ABA stats along with his NBA stats, where would you place him?
I'd put he'd have to be top 10 due to his influence on top of everything, because he had won I think he won if I'm not mistaken. Well, I know he won scoring titles. He won the MVPs in the ABA. I think he won a championship or two too, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, you'd have to put him in there at top 10. His influence almost puts him there by itself. So, let alone him being a great player.
2-time ABA champion and 5-time All ABA.
And won a couple scoring titles too.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I would put him in there, but in a top 10 if you count the ABA. And
3 scoring titles in the ABA. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's just one of those things. Is, do you count it or not? And it's the same thing with the George Mikan stuff. Do you count the pre-NBA stuff? If you do, then he's absolutely amazing. He's a bona fide, top 5 player. But it's the same thing with Dr. J. If you include it, yeah, you got to put him top 10, in my opinion. Robin, I know you got Dr. J in your top 10. What do you include the ABA when you think about the ranking him?
Everyone should include the ABA is part of basketball history. This is what we have to keep in mind. This is why I talked about in my video about Dr. J. This is why Dr. J is in my top 10, along with other things like his icon and his all-around game. But absolutely, Dr. J is a top 10 player. There are some people that believe that Dr. J is the greatest player of all time. ABA or NBA doesn't make a difference, man. What this man meant to basketball, what he did on the basketball court. Someone in the comments said something about Dr. J saved basketball. He absolutely did. Before Magic and Bird came to the NBA, it was Dr. J. Remember, it was the ABA coming in and saving the NBA. Where would the NBA be today without the ABA-inspired three-point line? Where would it be? It would be nowhere. It would be what it always used to be, real basketball, not these guys chucking up all these idiotic shots. So the ABA should be included in everyone's conversations about these great players that played in both leagues, that had an impact. Think about Rick Barry, who played in both leagues. Rick Barry's one of the all-time greats. I know about Rick Barry. A lot of people know about Rick Barry. Dr. J's ABA and NBA career should absolutely be talked about, and his game is absolutely worth him being a top 10 player of all time, man. Listen, there were people in New York City, man, that went down to the Rucker Park. They used to climb buildings, trees, to watch Dr. J play basketball out there on the streets, man. Dr. J's afro is more iconic than a lot of players in NBA's history.
Maybe not as iconic as AOH's, but that's a sidebar. Nick, did you want to add anything to this Dr. J stuff?
Yeah, with the ABA, I think he's easily top 10. Without the ABA, he's like on that 10 cusp, like top 10 cusp around there, right? So that's how I'd roughly put him. He's probably the one I regret. I probably should have put him in over Duncan, counting the ABA stuff, but I was, in terms of like a debate, I wasn't sure how that would go, so I left him off almost as like a hedge in a way, like a safety. I wouldn't even have to address it in a way. But with the ABA stuff, he's probably like 9 or 10 or 8 somewhere in there for me.
Yeah. You still there, Pierre? I think we lost him. But thanks for the questions, Pierre. I appreciate your support. For everyone here, just as a reminder in the live chat, if you liked what any of us had to say and you're not subscribed to our channels, please subscribe to us. Michael Jordan fans are the best. NMB Sports and Sports and Fitness rants. It was a great discussion about how LeBron James fans are cyber bullies and ageist. And then it became everyone hate Dart because he doesn't have Hakeem in the top 10 show. Either way, it was fun.
Both important topics.
Yep. That could be a show in itself.
Yeah.
And then again, check out the MJFB Summer Debate League. We got some debates going on Tuesday. I got to get a hold of YT Hoops. I know he was in here earlier. I sent you an email if you're still here, Dan. But yeah, if you can get back to me if you're available on Tuesday. But there is definitely an event on Tuesday night as well. 94 Rockets versus 86 Celtics live. If you want to contribute and watch, it'll be live, so you can join in the live chat and call in after that. But yeah, and then subscribe to our channels. Do you guys have anything else you want to say? And Nick, you want to?
Game 2 tonight. I need it. I need everything I can get from everyone. Send it to the Mavs.
Robin, what do you got to say?
Yeah, no, I just want to thank everybody in the chat, man. Like I said, everybody, adding and, contributing to the live stream. Shout out to everybody that supports our channels. Shout out to my man Dar. Shout out to Nick, man. Yeah, good luck to the Mavericks. I just want to see a good series, man. I don't want to see no more 20, 30-point losses and, things of that nature. We just want to see good basketball.
All right.
Guys give the effort, But yeah, you know what it is, guys. Shout out to everybody. Like I said, man, thank you guys, man, for real.
Yep. And it was a great time. And actually, while I have you here, do y'all have any ideas for next week's show?
No, off the top of my head.
Okay. We'll figure it out. But yeah, thank you again, live chat. And for everyone, Michael Jordan fans are the best.